Hello heroes. Today we are going to share about work-related depression. A lot of people are actually suffering from work-related depression, but you and I may help to assist that particular individual. So let's ask ourselves, what is work-related depression? This is a low mood disorder experienced by an individual who stick with a job that she or he feels unappreciated and miserable. The individual continues to do job despite the fact she or he has a low mood or a low interest. Many people who are depressed, they are just there physically, but their minds are not there at all. And this has a greater influence to an organization or the company, because the one thing that might happen, it might lower the production of the company. Therefore, the employers should act swiftly and very fast to solve the situation, because the company might go down. Therefore, now let's look at onto the signs and symptoms of work-related depression. Number one, we have got weight loss, and this might come due to loss of appetite, which may lead to sudden or extreme weight loss, thus putting the health of an individual at risk. For example, when the person started working, this particular person uh, had a good health, but suddenly you are just trying and see this particular individual is actually losing weight. So you might suspect this person may be suffering from work-related depression. Number two, we have got sign and symptom number two, sleep disturbance. When a person is depressed, a person might find it very difficult to sleep during the night. A person may sleep too much during the day. Therefore, sleep problems may exacerbate depression, leading to a negative cycle between depression and sleep that can be challenging to, thus a greater risk to a person's life. Signs and symptom number two, feeling worthless. This might arise due to low self-esteem, neglect, abuse by some bosses, trauma at job, or due to any difficult situation that may pose threat to a person's sense of self. Some bosses at work or employers at work might use advantage of some of the employees, not knowing that they are actually posing a very great danger to a person's sense of self. Number four, excessive guilt. A person may feel excessive guilt due to feeling of constant dissatisfaction with the job that they are doing. Number five, decreased attention or concentration, or decreased ability to function at work. This is because a person feels hopeless and loss of interest in job that she or he once enjoyed or loved. Therefore, depression makes it harder to concentrate, because you simply don't see the point of working. Lastly, number six, we have a sign and symptom of a variety of emotional. For example, anger, sadness, crying, agitation. Yani, a person may just feel like is so sad. The person is angry without any reason. A person is so agitated even in a very small matters. So those are actually some of the signs and symptoms of work-related depression. So now we are actually going to jump, and then we are actually going to look into the causes of work-related depression. Number one, we have good job security. Most of the people, they want a good job security. Imagine working in a company whereby you don't know the outcome of its future. One day you're actually going to job, then you find yourself that there is no more job. Maybe the employer has actually fired you, or maybe the work has actually ended. So sometimes those are actually some of the fears that might lead to a person starting feeling depressed. Or sometimes you're actually working contract basis, but some of the people are actually working in a permanent basis. So the outcome of this particular individual who is actually working for contract basis is unknown. Therefore, it leaves this particular individual to think most of time when he or she comes to job. Maybe what if my contract ends? Will I continue working, or this will be the end of my career? How am I going to start? So those are some of the questions might lead this particular individual to stress, then eventually leads him or her to depression. Number two, delayed wages or payment. This might lead to pressure from the family, bills, leading an individual to end up taking loans that has got much interest, whereby they cannot be able to pay it. So this particular person, when he or she comes to job, he most of time he or she will be thinking, how am I going to pay this particular loan? How am I going to do these particular things? So those particular thoughts might lead this particular person to depression, because the interest is growing rapidly. So he or she might think, maybe I might not be in a position to pay this particular loan. So how am I going to do? Therefore, the person might be depressed. Number three, working parent guilt. And this most of time it is actually most of time it usually happen to breastfeeding mothers. Imagine, so the mother might be thinking that the child that she has left at home is actually suffering, and she is working. So the mother might think so hard about the child at home. So that particular guilt of leaving the child at home and going to work, it might lead uh, that particular employee to maybe be depressed. Number four, a wrong fit role at work. Most of the people, they usually feel unhappy when they are wrongly placed on the areas that they have not specialized on, because she or he is being wasted. That is how most of time these particular individuals feels. So an individual might be depressed if they have been wrongly placed on the areas that they have not specialized on. Number five, misalignment between company values and personal values. So this may remove your sense of care for the work you are expected to do. When you don't feel connected to the values of an organization, you may often find yourself not being accountable, reliable, and not delivering quality results. Number 6, interpersonal discomfort. Misunderstanding and confusions lead to negativity at workplace. Conflict leads nowhere, but in turns spoil the work. We need people around who can appreciate our hard work and motivate us from time to time. So most of the time when we're actually working with somebody whom we cannot understand with one another, maybe most of the time you're actually in conflict with that particular individual, you might not produce. Instead, you are going to spoil the work, therefore leading to low production of the company. Lastly, number 7, feeling trapped or reaching boiling point or emotional threshold. For example, hopeless, despair, sadness, anger, frustration, or fear. This is a feeling of stuck in situation that have built up over time. So you might trap yourself by mostly thinking about negative things, putting a lot of feelings on negative things, till you reach a certain point whereby you are so hopeless, you are despair, sadness, anger, frustration, or even fear for nothing. So this may make you to become depressed. So how are we going to prevent this? And this leads us to prevention of work-related depression. Number 1, we can look into the job security. The employers should actually protect the employees by giving them a permanent job, whereby an individual feels secure that he or she has a job in the future. On the other hand, the employees also should secure their future. And how can they secure their future? Through saving more than spending. For example, if a business or the company collapses abruptly, how have you secured your future? If you have been saving more, then you can start your own company. You can start your own business. You can become your own boss. So, as employees, we should be in a position to save more than spending. If we are actually focusing on saving more than spending, then you will be sure that your future is secure. Even if you are in a contract job or in a private company or a facility that you don't know the outcome of its future. Number 2, timely payment. Employers should actually pay their employees on time. So this might help employees to escape a piling of bills that might stress them more. On the other hand, employees also should have a proper planning. When you receive your payment today, know that there is tomorrow. Know that that is the all amounts that you have. Stop seeing that at the end of the month, I'm going to receive another amount of money. So plan for that particular amount that you have properly. When you have a proper planning, you will be strategized yourself very well. Therefore, this will help you to avoid being stressed yourself when your employer fails to pay you on time because uko na akiba ya kesho. Number 4, a good fit role at work. So employers should actually place the employees according to their specialization. There is a reason why that particular employee went to specialize on a certain area. So the employers should actually place them according to their speciality. And if maybe because of certain situation or because maybe of overworking, and the employer decides to place this particular individual on a wrong fit uh, speciality, then this particular employer should cancel this particular individual and tells him or her why exactly he or she has been placed at that particular place. This might uh, relieve this particular employee and may produce much more on the company, will lead to high production of the company. But sometimes you as an employee also, if you have actually been wrongly placed, just understand what has actually brought you there. Just concentrate with the work, then finish your work, do your work at your best, and go home and rest. Number 5, alignment of company values and personal values. So employers should actually engage employees on the company values before putting it at work. But on the other hand, if for example you've actually reached at that particular company and it's actually not going according to your values, then you as an employee, you need actually to adapt and work well. The earlier you adapt to those particular changes, the better for your mental health. Number 6, good interpersonal relationship. So employees should actually focus on job and avoid creating negativity towards one another because it is only job that brought you there. On the other hand, employers should solve any issue that has arisen between employees as fast as possible. Number 7, avoid trapping your feeling. Employers should learn about and educate employees about depression. Employers should set up resources for those suffering with depression. Employers should create good working conditions by using ecotherapy technique. Employers should support their employees at all cost. Both employees and employers, if they work as a team, they will prevent work-related depression. Therefore, increasing the production of the company or an organization, but on the other hand, making an employee to be mentally healthy. Therefore, let's ask ourselves, what is a mental health friendly working environment? Number 1, flexibility. And this most of the time is actually working hours. The working hours should be flexible to all employees. Number 2, proper channels for grievances. For example, if a person is actually grief, he or she is actually supposed to be given either off or leave so that this particular person can have enough time for grief. Number three, comprehensive health cover. It is so good when a person or an employee is actually working, but he or she has a good cover which will cover for his or her family. Number four, we have timely payment. The employers should actually pay the employees on time. Number five, safe space for feedback. Employers should actually provide fast feedback to their employees. Number six, address toxicity. Employers should actually address toxicity as fast as possible. Number seven, reasonable accommodation for person with mental illness. Employers should actually accommodate those particular individuals who have mental illness. They should not, if it's actual treatment, they should be given a sick of goal being treated without being fired. Then they return, then they continue working. Or maybe, for example, if those are actually some of the individuals are actually supposed to be gone for rehab, then after finishing that particular rehabilitation, they come back and continue working. Number eight, allow for persons' growth. For example, employers will actually allow employees to continue growing themselves by learning higher, investing, etc. So that is actually something that the employers will actually allow for persons for personal growth. Then number nine, rewards or incentives. Employers should actually reward those particular individuals who have actually performed very well. Number 10, issuing happiness reports. Then number 11, mental health support structure. So the company should have a good mental health support structure. Therefore, you as a human being, how can a human being maintain good mental health? So it is a question, and again I can repeat it. How can a human being maintain good mental health? Number one, mental health literacy. So you as an individual, you need to learn about uh, mental health so that you can have good information. You can even counsel your friend. You can even counsel your family. You can help and save a situation. Number two, connectedness. You need to connect with friends for you to stay mentally 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 healthy. You need to connect with friends. That one might help you to share a lot of things. Number three, spirituality. You need to maintain your spirituality, be flexible on that particular spirituality. Number four, mental health checkups. We need actually to visit mental health checkups so that we can be assessed. Number five, psychotherapy. Then lastly, number six, good physical health. So those are some of the things that a human being might maintain good mental health. So lastly, we can look into the treatment of depression. If a person is actually depressed, this particular person, some of the treatment of depression is like use of medication, psychotherapy, or use of electroconvulsive therapy. So the choice of treatment of depression depends on the severity of the illness, among other factors. So let's help one another. Let's not judge. Let let's help one another to maintain the individual to have good mental health. Thank you very much. Until we meet again, I appreciate for your time. Goodbye. Thank you.